Hi everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Today we have another 0 to 1 event, and this is the Thursday version of it. As you know, we have two series running of 0 to 1, one on Wednesday and one on Thursday. And this week happens to be on the theme of where to set up companies, how to structure companies better, how to manage your taxes as a startup, as a freelancer, how to have your data on your fingertips to make right business decisions. Yesterday, we spoke to a founder from Southeast Asia who leads a company called Monks, and they do business incorporation, accounting, and payroll services in multiple countries in Southeast Asia and Europe. And today we have another founder, someone who's achieved a lot in his career and life, and that's Amit Katyal. He's from a company called Bookeepers and More, based out of India, and they do incorporation, accounting, payroll services in India as well as for other international companies wherever they are based in. So he has a lot of global exposure, servicing clients from the US, Europe, and elsewhere. And Australia is one of the markets that Amit's keen on, and lots of domestic work in India as well. So we are definitely pleased to have Amit today with us and have a chat about the work he does, the work the company does, and the business outlook for startups, small businesses, freelancers, as well as businesses in general. And I also got to know that India is also in the midst of managing US tariffs, which happens to be the topic in town these days for most countries around the world. And maybe we touch on that towards the end as well. So welcome, Amit, to Do a Circus 0 to 1.
Thank you, Yusuf. Thanks for having me here. Good to be connected again. The last we spoke was around a few weeks back, and we have been interacting over emails and WhatsApp. But good to have a face-to-face conversation again.
Yes, very good to have you. And although we haven't met in person, it was a good experience working with you and the team on building a partnership. And although I haven't met you in person, I'm familiar with the environment, the ecosystem that you come from. Although I'm not from India particularly, I do understand the region, the South Asian region quite well. I did work at Meta and managed partnerships in many of the South Asian countries. And at one point, I was also based in Delhi and in Gurgaon, which I believe is where you live as well, Amit. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and a city that I think reflects the future of India, I believe, because it grows as a tech city, an innovative city, and a city that is servicing the world. And personally, I saw how Gurgaon is servicing the world. I don't think it's limited to Gurgaon per se. Hyderabad is similar. Bangalore is another. Some parts of South India is also like that. And Mumbai, obviously, is the traditional commercial hub. So I guess everywhere in India, the resurgence is very visible, and I felt Gurgaon was a nice reflection of that the new India that is booming up.
Yes, this is the new India, which basically is working for the Indians and obviously trying to target the world.
Right, right. So, Amit, we'll have a chat about the work you do and everything, but I usually like to start with the person himself or herself because our audience would like to know who you are. Maybe we start with your career a bit, as in where you started and how your career kind of moved along this journey, and how you became a founder and how you launched this line of business and up to that point, so people know who you are and what you do now.
Well, yes, I think this introduction is much required before that's required to set up the base. Professionally, I'm a chartered accountant and I've been working for last 23 years now. For the first 20 years, to start with, I was on the other side of the table. I was working as an employee with multi organizations across the globe. I started my career with a TV channel called CNN, HBO, and Cartoon Network in India. Then I went to Australia to do my masters in GST. Came back to India again, and then had a stint with international companies, but majorly focused on media and telecom. One of an exciting stint is, Snapdeal, one of the leading e-commerce companies in India. I was the CFO for their TV channel. Then I joined as the group CFO for a Bulgarian company called Excital Broadband. I was there for around 5 years, and then I moved to an Indian multinational company called Oyo, where I was heading their finance for the Southeast Asia region, including India. And then basically I took that plunge. Now, the fact is that this plunge was not taken in a day. It was planned around 5 years back. So intent was very clear. While I was working with the corporate, it was basically learning and earning both. Now, why learning? Why? Because India intent was very simple. I wanted to create something new, something of my own, and then offer whatever the global exposure I've learned to my Indian counterparts. So when I say Indian counterparts, please understand India can be divided, and I take full responsibility of the statement. India still can be divided into two parts. One is the Gurgaon India, which you were talking about, and the other is Bharat. Now, Bharat is around 95% of the country. Now, important is that when we talk about the big guys, big corporates, they have everything to basically churn the numbers, create the numbers, tell a story from the numbers. But this facility or this agility is not there with other corporates, which basically get covered in the startups, small and medium enterprises. Now, the idea was very simple. Whatever we have learned in the 20 glorious years across the globe, why can't we actually give the same thing to our budding entrepreneurs within the country? Obviously, when we said that, we always wanted to ensure that the good and the bad part about finance and accounts. Sorry, I've just moved a bit away from the introduction.
Sure, no problem.
But
Yeah,
the fact is that, we are in the business of need.
right.
Everybody needs accounting, everybody
Yeah.
needs number to get evaluated, but the kind of respect this division has to earn basically doesn't get it.
Sure.
And
I
that,
remember, Amit, sorry to disturb, but when we had a early conversation, you said, yes, as what's your staple food? And I said, it's typically rice. And then you said, I'm also in the business of providing rice because everyone needs it. I still remember that statement. I think I've mentioned this to one or two other people as well, that I spoke to this interesting Indian founder, and he said this story, something that no one has told me ever in that fashion.
so we are in the business of rice, but again, what we can very confidently say, we are in the business of rice. Yes, we love rice, but we are in the business of storytelling.
Right.
Why? Because every number has a story behind it.
Mm.
If you are 102, then technically in cricket, you are a great guy, but for weight, it is a very bad thing to talk about. So
Right.
again, we are in the business of storytelling to the startup and the smaller businesses in India and across India, across the globe, but at a price which is optimized. Again, I'm repeating, this need business basically has to be rationalized when it comes to the dollar. So
Right.
intent is to optimize the dollar and increase the quality of services of the storytelling to the business owner or the people who are engaged in the business. Now that is bookkeepers for you.
Right, right. And I mean, Bookkeepers does this for Indian companies as well as overseas companies, I believe. And one part that you bring to the table is your global exposure to India in one way. On the other hand, connect India with the world and the world with India, I believe, right? Because you want to serve the US, you want to serve Australia, you want to serve Singapore. So you're on both angles in that sense, like connect the India to world, world to India, but at the same time, bring that value back to India too.
So yes, I agree. But again, a couple of statements. One, now everybody is a global citizen.
Right?
So it is not India
True.
versus Singapore or Australia or any other Southeast Asian country. Intent is very simple. There is a knowledge, there is an expertise, and why can't this expertise be offered to everybody in this world? Now, I don't understand the boundaries. I don't understand there's a boundary between India and Singapore. Why? Because any entrepreneur sitting in Clementi technically would also need to consume the same information called a P&L, a KPI, a balance sheet, a cash flow, a predictive analysis, the same thing what somebody sitting in Colombo would be doing it. So what are we trying to do? We basically are trying, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to basically bring all the good practices, best practices, what we have learned in last 2 decades, and then basically design a model for the smaller businessman at a price which basically doesn't pinch him a lot. Intent is very simple. Yes, we understand we are in the business of need, but people do not pay extra dollar for rice. People pay multiple dollars for a great dish.
Right.
So we still are in the business of rice. So I
Right.
do not think that people, businessmen, basically should shell out too much money on accounting and finance. That has to be optimized. Finance and accounts has to become a partner. They cannot
Right.
work in silos. They cannot, people come back and say finance is a cost center. I understand. But till when? We need to become a partner, need to come out of the silo and said, I think that the numbers speak this story. Let people hear it, let people understand it and appreciate it. Now, this is my drive for everybody.
Right.
Yes, India is my home ground. That's the way where I play. But who knows that this Indian factory moves anywhere in the world? Why? Because this again depends on the demand. Today, I work with my US clients. I have a couple of clients in UK. You never know that you need to set up a small factory there of accounting, reporting guys, and then basically serve the Western European market from London.
Right.
That's me.
Amit, right. Amit, I like to understand how the industry, the accounting and finance industry has transformed over the years, right? I mean, your industry is not a new industry, right? It's not, for a lack of better example, it's not like the AI industry per se, right? Bookkeeping has been there for the last 100 years or more. But I think it's not the same accounting that we talk about today. So I want you to explain to our audience, how do you see this shift? It's not like just maintaining books, but it is about that story. So that shift, what are we talking about in accounting and finance today, so that our founders understand the importance of this industry? It's not just bookkeeping, but it is about seeing through that data.
So I think everything has changed. I have been working for the last 23 years. When I started my career, we were a typical accountant whose job was to manage every debit and credit of the business. But now things have changed. I'll take an example. Today, if I want to watch a movie, I actually go to Netflix on Amazon, press a button, and the movie is in front of me. 30 years back, the movie in India, we used to wait for every Sunday for the movie to be telecasted on the carrier, on the television channel of Government of India. Now things have changed. That means that one, content has increased. Content has to be readily available. Second, content can be consumed on demand. People, the consumers, when I say consumers, it can be the promoters, it can be founders, CEOs, CXOs. They need information at a click of button. They are not willing to wait. Second, because the data has increased, data itself has become a great data lake information. Now people want to churn the data, people want to evaluate the trends, which technically was not there. Why? Because earlier the accountant was typical bookkeeper. Now the accountants play a very important role where they convert the data into information and give it to everybody in the business so that they can take timely decisions, not on the basis of their gut, but a pure hardcore information which has been analyzed by professionals like accountants. So things have changed. The data volume
Right.
has changed. People behavior have changed. Why? Because they want it now. They do not want to wait. And with AI, basically, they need a companion. They need a person who basically can read the data on their behalf, convert the machine language to human language, and basically again tell a story to the user. And third, which is very important, everybody in the business basically needs information, but the biggest thing is everybody works on a different information databases. Not acceptable now. Today, everybody wants to consume water from one data lake, one data. That means if the water is dirty, the dirty water is being consumed by everybody. And that is the reason Intent is that if the company has to take a decision in different departments, the decision that depending on the data comes from one single data source.
Right.
If this is agreed, this is a great greed to talk about.
Right. Amit, I like to talk about that data lake, right? Like having one single source of truth. I guess being in startups for a while myself and also having worked with other founders and entrepreneurs, I see that's a bit difficult because they have multiple systems, right? Because they use some Excel for certain things and some SaaS applications for certain other things, etc. So their data is actually everywhere. And what usually happens is either the founder or someone who's supporting the founder puts together reports so that founder has some of those data points to make decisions. But it is time consuming and the margin for error is also quite high. So maybe if we take a step back and advise or at least talk to our founders here and who will be also watching the recording later on as to how you will advise them to go about it because this is quite organic, I guess, right? You start small, you start with one system, you start with another Excel, another SaaS system comes into play. There's another gap, you buy a CRM SaaS application, etc., etc. So this is quite gradual in its journey where it's not one data lake as you talk about, but it is multiple small lakes. How do we actually do this properly?
No, it's a great question. It's a generic problem everywhere in the world. Now, what we are trying to do is, I'll just take an example, give a solution before I actually elaborate it. Bookkeepers has its own inbuilt reporting as a service tool known as Invoicy. As of now, we are integrating or integrated Invoicy with multiple smaller accounting tools of the country called Tally, Busy, Align Books, FCA Soft. Now we're going to do it Zoho. The idea is very simple. Invoicy is getting integrated with accounting tools. And along with that, it is also getting integrated with all other tools which the businesses basically work with. It can be HRIS, it can be OMS, it can be an attendance policy, it can be a sales lead. Now, what we are trying to do is the tool Invoicy basically takes the data through APIs automatically. Our Power BI and the design team basically make all the dashboards after talking to the promoters and the CXOs of their businesses. Because while I say that I deal very extensively with startups, I deal with listed companies too. Now, intent is very simple. We have been talking to our customers saying, what are those 50 top dashboards you need to manage the operations on daily, weekly, monthly basis? Somebody will come back and say, I need a month-end report, MIS, segment-wise, MTD, YTD, budget versus actual. Also need a balance sheet. I also need to see a cash flow statement. Okay, this is monthly. But somebody will come back and say, I need to see a daily KPI talking about the sales lead conversion. I need to see the cost per lead. I need to see the cost per click. I need to see the way the trend is moving versus online and offline spend in marketing. Multiple things. Now, do we need army of people to actually make all these things? No. Earlier, yes, but now what we do is we basically design the dashboards on Invoicy after the data is sucked on Invoicy data lake tables, churn it automatically, and then push it out to the customer. Now, the customer can be the CEO, the CFO, CXOs, or might be the number two of these team members with a very, very clear intent. If you want the number two to look at only 10% of the reports, the access would be given to that only. So there's a restricted access. Now, what is happening? The information is being pushed to the consumer automatically without any human intervention. There is no human person who basically is making any Excel sheets. Excel is gone. What is in? It is the live information. Somebody will basically come back and say, I need a daily KPI report. Somebody will come back and say, I need after every 1 hour. Great. Idea is very simple. You need a great data entry operator. And after that, everything, designing of your chart of account, designing of your reports, pushing it out to your customers, giving restrictive access, basically is on Invoicy itself. Now, this is what we are doing. Idea, you don't need few $1,000 person in your office to churn the number. The numbers are coming to you. Now, you need to decide what you have to take a decision on this trend. Now, that is still with the human being, but that human being is the consumer, not with bookkeepers. Now, this is the trend which is changing in the country, especially when I see in India. Why? Because the startups I work with, they have to be agile. They have to be very quick in taking decisions. If the sale is going down in one suburb, every morning they need to know why it is happening, which product is going down, which customer is not going for a repeat order every day. If I talk about a pure D2C segment. Now, this is what we are adding value to our customers in India as we speak.
Right. And I mean, if you think of a founder's journey, when they start, it might be, I guess, too little to kind of have that kind of system in place or work with a partner like yourself. So, what's your usual advice for a founder when they kind of start and grow? At what point do they have to start thinking about this, or is it like a day one question?
I think I'm a father, and we basically started teaching hygiene to our kid when she was a toddler.
Right.
I understand when you start a startup, you basically need to think more about the product, the technology, the marketing, the sales. But
Yes. Yes.
unfortunately, again, because this is a need, you need to think about it. Yes, I will never say that too much investment in need in accounting finance on day zero is beneficial. I think that would be an overkill. But then you have to do something. Why? Because this this number, the storytelling will basically get you grounded, will get you connected with the realities of the business so that you can take decisions on facts, on numbers, not on your gut.
All
Now,
right.
that is one advice I give to my customers in India and overseas. Please start respecting the numbers, reading the numbers, and then think, where do you want to take the business?
Right. And this is like having a CFO or a fractional expert on your side, even before you can afford to have a CFO, right? So you have a system in place, a partner who can support, who can act like that and can give that advice to you.
Well, I think I love this question. Why? Because in India, there's a great concept called fractional CFOs or virtual CFOs. I understand we also provide the services, but again, these are human dependent. Frankly speaking, the CFOs, the human beings, work from 9 to 6 in India. I'm talking about India. And sometimes when you basically need some guidance, some information, say at 11 in the night, while you're talking to some of your counterparts in US, the CFOs are not there. So what Bookkeepers right now is doing, Invoicy tool has been created. Now we are working with the AI company, name not to be disclosed, unfortunately, right now, because of the company's limitation. We are working to create a digital CFO, which basically can read all the dashboards being created by our tool and then ask all the questions. We are going to train the machine to ask all the questions looking at the trend so that they can weed out the problems, if any, intimate the accountant in advance, and then when the numbers are being pushed to the end consumer, the CFO, the digital CFO, who's working 24/7 without any leave, basically tells the end consumer, sir, this is your report till yesterday night, but these are the 5 things I would like to highlight. So
Right.
that is what we are looking for. And obviously, because it is working 24/7, any consumer can basically talk to my digital CFO through the channel. It can be WhatsApp, it can be bots, asking any question and let the CFO do the digging on their behalf, analyze it, and then give it back to them. Now, that is what we are looking in phase two of invoicing.
Right. One question I wanted to ask, Amit, is the impact of AI. I think you already spoke about how AI is being integrated into your kind of work and the innovations that you are kind of building within the company as well as with the ecosystem. Um, Traditionally, accounting, bookkeeping has been a very human-centric industry, right? You had people entering stuff, and you could also call it almost data entry at the lowest end, and then you have more superior skills along the channel or the chain. Um, what's the impact of AI on these jobs? Obviously, we can also talk about how AI is improving the whole chain and the service deliverability in that sense. But first on the jobs, like where do you see impact on people? Because we also have freelancers joining. Maybe we can also point to them. what's the impact where you need to transform yourself into in this whole AI thing?
Yes, yes, with AI, one thing has happened in bookkeepers. I will only talk about bookkeepers right now. Earlier, I had to hire few double-digit senior guys to churn the numbers. Now, with Invoicy in place, the 11 guys now are at three, to be very critical.
Mm.
So we don't believe in firing. So obviously we are growing, so we need more people. But reporting as a service, as a division, basically I saw, the demand of usage of human manpower, and these human manpowers are not data entry operators. These are hardcore FP&A guys, senior guys, from 11 to 3 in last, say, 3.5 quarters, to be very specific.
Wow.
And the reason
Right.
very simple, because the tool is making all the reports which have been designed once in a lifetime.
Right.
So the numbers, the information, the trend analysis, the comparisons, the tool is giving to the end consumer on a daily basis without any human intervention. Until unless there are change of chart of accounts, there are change of demand, there we need the coders to come and design it. Other than that, if your requirement is static, you don't need any other changes. Frankly speaking, the usage of humans have gone down drastically when it comes to FP&A.
Right.
We still need people in controllership. We still need people in data entry operator. But especially when I talk about the trend analysis, FP&A schedules, there I think I've seen a steep decline.
Right. And on the lowest end, I guess reporting is a bit analytical, right? And that has been to some extent taken over by technology. At the lowest end, even the data entry side of accounting, has that been impacted?
Not as of now, but again, I
Mm-hmm.
am meeting many entrepreneurs who basically are working on a technology where they can actually read, take a picture, and convert it into a data entry, a cost entry. I think that again is a great thing. India is bombarded with great vendor portals, which we are going to launch, where we will ensure that the end customer, the accounts payable guy, basically, rather than punching the entries directly, basically ensure that the entries being created by somebody who's submitting the bill, uploading the bill on the vendor portal, entries are made automatically, just needs to post it. So yes, with technology in place and more usage, I personally feel that yes, the load coming on a human to do data entry also will go down drastically.
Right. And if you look at, say, three layers for argument's sake, the most senior and skilled analytical layer has, I guess, maybe impact is the word, or at least improvements with AI as Invoicy is doing. And then the middle layer of like reporting also has impact, as you explained, and then the lowest level also, right? So in that sense, you will have impact at all three levels if you were to layer it that way. Now, in the freelancing and solo economy, if you like, you have people working at all these levels, right? You have fractional experts who are flexible employees, who are consultants. They may not want to be called freelancers, but they are freelancers. And then at the lowest end, you have the freelancers doing basic bookkeeping or even data entry work, and then in the middle also to some extent, right? So as a veteran in the field, like what would you advise them to kind of do to transform their careers? Because there's obviously impact to their career if they were to continue doing what they were doing for the last 5 years or 10 years, right? So we all got to add more skills, evolve ourselves if we are to survive and sustain, right? So what would be your advice?
I think except that this change is happening, get used to it. And if somebody who's listening us, if is he still thinking that whatever they have been doing for last a decade will basically help them for the next 10 years, trust me guys, it's not going to help you. I see drastic changes in the demand. you know Obviously we still need human beings, but if majority of their work is being done by the AI and the technology in together, then frankly speaking, you need to do something better or more. And we need to accept it. We cannot live in a silo saying this is not going to impact me. This will impact everybody.
And I think this also will apply to businesses in the same way, whether they are small businesses or medium-sized or large companies, because they also need to evolve or transform with these changes, whether they are in finance and accounting business like yourself, or whether they are in business of maybe marketing, or whether they are in retail. We all got to transform and evolve with these changes.
Fortunately and unfortunately, yes, the answer is simple yes. We need to change, we need to adapt, and we need to accept that this change is there on the table and we have to accept it.
Right. All right. We have few questions coming through the Q&A channel, but everyone listening, please do ask your questions through Q&A channel. I'll pick those questions as we go through. Amit, I'll take a couple of questions. One attendee has asked, what's one finance dashboard metric that you think is overrated and one that's underrated?
I think it's a very subjective thing.
Very subjective, yeah.
Very subjective thing. I deal with multiple entrepreneurs. Uh, some are very traditional. They still need the P&L balance sheet cash flow to analyze the business. And some basically are very adventurous, where they need to mix the financial and non-financial KPIs together, churn it, and see it a very different way. So the traditional revenue, gross margins, EBITDA are there, but might be there are new jargons which are there in the market in different industries, which entrepreneurs are not shy to toy around.
Right. The next question, hi Amit, when hiring outsourced finance talent, what matters more? Is it technical skills or business context?
Uh, Most of the time when I go and meet my clients, I always tell them I'm in the business of trust. And the only rule I follow is I tell my clients is don't trust me. So before you outsource your accounts, please make sure that you trust that person. You understand what this guy can do for you. Why? Because this is not going to be a flash in the pan. It's going to be a long-term relationship. So while you pick up the right doctor for you, for as a family doctor, you need to pick up a right accounting firm for you, which can understand you, your vision, and ensure that the numbers basically talk the same story.
Right. Because the word outsourcing was used here, Amit, I like to go a bit deeper on outsourcing itself. I guess you're part of the world, and some countries in Southeast Asia developed a brand for outsourcing. The countries like the US, the UK, Australia, and many other countries started to send work to some of the lower cost countries in that sense, right? And I'm also somewhat familiar with this industry because back in the day, I used to run a company that trained BPO staff. So I've been in this business in a different way. I wasn't in the business of running a BPO, but running a training company and a tech ed company, and that serviced BPO industry. So and these countries as well as this industry overall had a perception, right? This is like the back office of the world, right? You have low end work, lower skills, which require a lot of human intervention, can go into lower cost countries. But I also feel from the discussion so far, it is also changing, right? Because technology is getting involved, AI is getting integrated, so it's not just a low cost destination anymore. Any of these countries, for that matter, these countries are actually now upgrading themselves to be a strong business companion. I just want to understand your perspective on this, like how the whole perception and the industry of outsourcing is also changing.
No, I think I agree with you that Southeast Asia, from India till Philippines, we always have been, seen as the low-cost production areas, the call centers, the data entry operators, the KPOs, or might be the outsourced manufacturing units. Yes, we cannot deny that. But now in 2025, and I speak on behalf of India, the new India we are talking about. Yes, we optimize the cost. We are not the low cost company. We optimize the cost, but more than that, we actually add value to the business. We are competent, we are knowledgeable. When we step out of the India and go to US, we are the people who are managing Googles of the world. Sundar Pichai is in Indian. You know, the, the CEO of Microsoft is an Indian. So how many Indians, how many Browns, and we are Browns, we Browns are there in the country called US and managing the top-notch positions. Now the question is very simple. Those guys were produced in this country. They went to US and have been doing a great job. Now the time has come that the Browns who are sitting in this country basically add the same value, but at an optimized cost. Now that is the only difference. Yes, we do talk in dollars, but again, the dollars doesn't pinch you that much if you get the same quality somewhere in US or UK. So yes, we would
And
like to optimize the cost, but up the quality. Why? Because we have been trained like that.
right. And since you mentioned quality, Amit, I guess there was a discussion for many years, right? Quality is a concern when you kind of work with some of these countries, right? But with the intervention of technology, maybe that's also getting addressed to a very large extent, I believe.
I think it's a combination of both. Yes, technology plays a very, very important role when we talk about upping the quality. But now the major part is that the person, the brown person sitting in India is also changing. The mindset is changing. The person sitting in India now, and I'm in India, is not willing to take orders coming from anywhere else in the world. He wants to add value. He wants to be heard because he's intelligent, he has ideas, and he also wants to work on that. And that is a shift in a human mankind when I talk about India. Indians are changing. Indians have actually changed for good.
Right. I'll take another question from the Q&A thread. The next question, Amit, is there such a thing as too much automation in finance?
Uh, I think it's too early to say anything. We are in that phase where we are experimenting. We are getting into a technological phase. So let's, I think, wait and watch to understand where does it lead to. Yes, overdoing of technology is always harmful. That's the reason I always say that we still need human beings to control the technology. Humans have created technology. Technology cannot manage human beings. So if we can maintain the balance and we can maintain that sanity in the human mind, I think that would be great work to do.
Okay. The next question, when you outsource finance work, how do you stop it from becoming out of sight, out of mind?
As I told you, Invoicy as a tool will ensure that every day, every morning, you actually get to see everything what is required by you to run the business. So then what is out of sight is the data entry operator, the churn machine. But in front of you, you actually consume more information. You are more interactive. And I think that is what a business person should be looking at. He needs to be more connected to the business through dashboards, not through human beings who are putting data in the system.
Right. And I guess with a lot of dashboards and technology coming into play, that out of sight has started to fade away, I believe, in the last few years anyway, right? I mean, it was the case maybe 10 years ago where you had to talk to your accountant or your senior accountant or the CFO if the company was that big, and if that person is out of sight, yes, there was a problem. But then now in the last 5, 10 years, you have a lot of systems, dashboards, SaaS applications where data is becoming available, not just data, but information that's meaningful, right? So in that sense, it was changing anyway, I guess, in the last decade or so.
I think things have changed post-COVID. Who knew that everybody can actually work on a screen sitting back home for years? But now it's possible. So yes, I understand out of sight, out of mind is a very glossy term when we talk about personal relationship. But when we talk about hardcore business, where you basically only need to see the numbers, reports, the dashboards, the indicators, then technically, I think from a business perspective, the human who is actually doing the job of getting the data inside the system, I think he can sit anywhere in the world.
Right. Amit, you mentioned about post-COVID as well. I like to touch on that a bit more. Has this industry also become a lot more hybrid and remote type? I guess traditionally accountants and some of the lower end tier of the industry definitely used to go into office, right? And data security and a bit of privacy, but mostly data security was also an issue, right? You couldn't send those files and invoices to someone's home because that had to be in the business premises, or at least in the provider's premises. So this industry was more of an in-person industry by design. I like to understand how has this changed? Like, are people now working more from home and working remotely? Is it hybrid? And then how have you managed those data security kind of complications as well?
So from our side, we are a 35 plus member team, having a couple of office, one in Gurgaon and one in Ambala. That's the northern part of the country. We are very clear that hybrid is the rule for us. We want people to basically shuttle between home and office, come to office couple of times, couple of days in a week, to mingle, meet, understand. But intent is very simple. You can work from anywhere in the world. You can work, say, 8 9 hours, great 8 9 hours in back home. Please do it. How do we secure? I think there are many ways to do it. The traditionals come back and say, let's do a non-disclosure agreement. I think these are still there. We still do that. But then cloud. We have clients in US who basically have given access to their SAPs, Oracle, and NetSuites, and we are the people sitting in India passing all the entries in these systems. The computers are logged if they want, the customers want, and then there are some policies everybody has to adhere to. So the American clients basically ensure that the IT team is tracking every laptop, every human being who's working on their project, ensuring that the data leakage can be avoided. So I said avoided. Eradicating it, I don't know. I think I cannot be too bullish about it that I can save everything, but majority of things have been managed till now.
Yeah. One question on accounting. I guess I want to move into starting up companies as well. But one last question on accounting. Amit, you've been talking about US companies, and I know you are interested in Southeast Asian market, and you also have a background in Australia, right? So I'm assuming you have clients in Australia as well. So multiple countries. And how does this work with a team? Because I'm also assuming some of these standards are different, some of the ways that reports are done are different. So with Invoicy as well as an operation, as a business, how do you manage different expectations in these countries, especially considering that some of these standards might be different?
So first of all, from Invoicey reporting as a service tool, this reporting as a service tool has to be customized. It is, yes, I can say that there's an off the shelf product which can be given to everybody. But again, that's a base product. But the idea is very simple. Yes, we are selling the base product SaaS module in the country, but then we go to the client basically to understand his vision, his business expectations, and then customize all the dashboards. See, please understand, yes, that we need the report to be used by you. When I say you, the consumer. When you look at the report, you should understand, yes, things have actually gone south or not. Why? Because the report, the dashboards have been created by you, for you, by us, for you. And that is the key. If there's a customer called doctor, a dentist, who basically wants to track, I need the daily inflow of customers. So then we need to design that for somebody. So that is the key. For accounting standards, yes, every country has a different accounting standards. We need to ensure that we understand them, we adhere to them, and then design the reports in accordance to the rules as per the discussions with the customer and their chartered accountant firms or CPA who are going to audit their numbers. Sorry, SSI, I cannot hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. I want to move towards starting up companies, like registering businesses side, Amit, in this last phase. I know you guys also do business incorporation in India, and and we have lots of companies who are interested in, especially smaller end of the town, who are interested in starting in India. Usually, they would initially work with a partner to have tech team in India, but then over time they would like to have their own entity. and this is a trend that we see. You usually first test the waters with a partner, and then they want to have their own entity. So I just like to understand, like, how is it usually done for a foreign company to start in India? Like, what are the basic things? Obviously, we don't need all the details here, but and then how easy it is or how hard it is, and some of the things to look out for.
So I think it is not hard anymore in the country. It is very easy for to bring a foreign business to the country. Obviously, the compliances have to be met, and we are the people who have been doing this for last a decade now. So bringing the foreign partners, getting them incorporated in the country, managing all the compliances in a few dollars. I think that is the USP I'm putting on the table for everyone.
Right. And in India, Amit, is it similar across the country? Is it state-based company registration, or it's a national, like anywhere in India, it's the same?
Anywhere in that. There's a Ministry of Corporate Affairs, so we basically have to go there to get a company registered. So that can be done anywhere in the world.
Mm. And foreigners can own companies in India?
So there are some restrictions, there are some
Hmm.
limitations. So for every segment, there are some specific rules. So we help them to basically set up the company, obviously ensuring that the rules are always met.
Right. Right. So there are ways to structure companies so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
foreigners can form companies in India.
yeah.
Right. And I know in some countries there are free trade zones and certain tax benefits when you operate and start in those kind of zones. Is that a thing in India as well
Yeah, yeah,
for certain
yeah.
industry? Okay.
It is. And we can actually recommend. So obviously, if people want to come and set up a factory and produce something in India like chips, then obviously
Mhm.
there are schemes. There are, we have a customer from Norway who has created a factory in India to manufacture routers. So they manufacture routers in India and ship it to the world. And obviously, while they're doing it, we're helping them to get benefits and incentives from the government of India. So we do that.
Right. All right. So I think I've covered most of the questions I wanted to ask Amit, especially on the accounting side and the startup side towards the end very briefly, and then how the industry is also evolving with AI and technology, and also the work practices, how have those changed in the industry as well. So I think I've covered most of the things that I wanted to cover. Anything else you want to touch towards the end as before we finish, Amit?
I think to repeat, accounting is a business of need. Everybody needs it. So be greedy, asking more numbers, more storytelling, so that you can take decisions more wisely, not on the basis of your gut. Second, the boundaries between India, Singapore, Philippines are created by someone, but we people sitting on this platform basically should not follow it. Uh, it's a global citizen world. Let the good work be shared with everybody at an optimized cost.
Thank you very much, Amit, for your time and also to your team for working with us to a circle, not only on this event, but overall partnership to have some of your services on the platform. So thank you very much. And we are looking forward to working with you and India in the long term. So thank you very much,
Well,
Amit. And thank you very much to all the participants who joined today. As well as all of you know, we have two events every week, one on Wednesday and one on Thursday. And Wednesday event focuses on Southeast Asian as well as some of the global issues and speakers related to that. And the Thursday one usually has speakers mostly from India who has some connection to India, but also looking outward, connecting India to the world and connecting the world to India as well. And today, Amit was in that stream of India special within 0 to 1. And next week, the same pattern will happen. On Wednesday, we have one event, and on Thursday, we have another 0 to 1 event. And since all of you are members, you will get those notifications in the coming days. So thank you very much to everyone, and we look forward to seeing you again. Bye.
thank you, everyone. Thanks.